Welcome everybody to another week of the Mayan Satsang, as we dance with the Dreamspell codes of evolution and really just take a moment out of time to drop into what's really present and what's there for us both on a collective and a personal level. So you'll be joining myself, Mark Bentley. I've been working with the Law of Time and the Dreamspell for many, many years and spent a lot of time just really being present with exploring what does it take to truly be human on this planet. And I am blessed to co-host this series of episodes with the dear Lee Green, who, Lee, you are a musician, you are a wisdom keeper, you are many, many things over there in the Philippines. So good to see you, Lee. How you doing?
Good morning. Doing great.
Nice. All right. So that was a bit of fun, wasn't it? Just before we started this live stream, it's always that confusion of like the audio and these technical things, and the world has become so connected into this technosphere, which has a lot of beautiful things, but it creates a lot of confusion at times. So one of the most beautiful things is music to bring us in and ground us. And so what do you reckon, Lee?
Sounds good. I think it's just life happening without rehearsal. Life in motion. And we just flow. Good morning, everyone that are joining us wherever you are. Let's free fall into this moment. She's a good girl, loves her mama, loves Jesus, and America too. She's a good girl, crazy about Elvis, loves horses, and a boyfriend too, yeah. It's a long day, living in Reseda. There's a freeway running through the yard, and I'm a bad one, 'cause I don't even miss her. I'm a bad one for breaking her heart, and I'm free, free falling. And I'm free, free falling. All the vampires walking through the valley, they move west out Ventura Boulevard, and all the bad boys are standing in the shadows, and the good girls are home with broken hearts, and I'm free, free falling, and I'm free, free falling, free falling now. I'm free falling now. I'm free falling now, and 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 I'm free falling. I wanna glide down Welcome everybody to another episode of Satsang for the Soul. Wherever you are, I wanted to start the day by connecting to nature that is around you. Where we are, it's the sun. Maybe where you are, it's the full moon. So welcoming these energies into the space. May our time together today be fruitful. Thank you for being here.
I don't think I could have thought of a better song to start off today with. You know, we look at the themes of the White Wizard Wave Spell, and the flow that we're in right now is the world is being cracked open, right? Like Leonard Cohen, the great man he was. I got to see Leonard Cohen live once, just years before he passed. And he was this old man on the stage, and you saw him with his hat, and he's still very stylish, and has his whiskey voice and his cigarettes, and there was something about this man that was so magical. And you know, it makes me think of one of the lines, you know, in his song, and I can't remember the exact wording, phrasing of it, you might know better, but you know, it's that thing of, you know, there's cracks in everything, that's how the light gets in. And it really feels like right now we have this, the light is like the thing that enchants our reality, right? It's what brings it alive. And in order for us to allow that light in, we have to break these old ideas of how things are meant to be, how, you know, all this judgment, all this kind of expectation, and be willing to break open to allow it to come through. And I see that all around us in the world. I see it on the BitClout platform. I see it everywhere. This cracking open, and for me, it really feels like free falling. You know, when we can embrace that free falling, that romance of the free falling, of just go with it, and let's see where it takes us.
Yeah, I think I just felt drawn to sing that song again. Like every time when I play, it's having an idea of what I'm gonna sing, and then the moment hits, and then it changes completely, and there's another song that wants to be played. And it's beautiful. And free fall, in the time of we are almost halfway through in the White Wizard Wave Spell. Here for us it's the 8th day, galactic day. And when I think about the White Wizard and the song Free Fall, and it's when the shaman takes the medicine plant and free falls into the spirit world. It's that moment of just complete and utter surrender into what is. And it's entering a sense of timelessness. It's entering that space of a lot of teachers have talked about, you know, the now moment, where time itself is not linear but vertical, and it's the space of time that advanced meditators or people that have entered that space have experienced that sense of timelessness, where you're no longer bound by a linear timing of having a past, present, and future, and everything is simultaneously existing in that moment. And the shamans understand that moment, or that free fall, you know, entering that space where you're of this world, but you're also not in this world. So diving into the multi-dimensionality of reality, of life, of being. I think that's what free fall for me at least. You know, I've never done bungee jumping before, but I can imagine, you know, that moment when you surrender to that free fall, when you're just right there, no fear, and you're just free falling. No other time in your mind, but just that moment, because that moment could be the last.
It's absolutely, you know, I spent many years training in the circus and different things and did a lot of stuntman training. And I remember, you know, you'd be standing at the edge of a jump or something you had to do. And you know, I remember jumping from some pretty high locations and you'd stand there and just like you're saying, there's that anticipation, that tremor, that kind of, you know, it's exhilaration, but it's fear. It's joy-filled fear in a way. And it's like you're standing right at the edge. But the moment that I jump, the moment that the feet leave the ground, control's gone, right? It's like I've got no more control. I have no choice but to be in absolute faith of the fall. That I've got it under control. There's no more preparation to be done. There's no more this, there's no more that. It's just surrender into that experience. And I think that's really what I'm just feeling so much as being a theme for our collective right now is we can look at this as everything is broken, like it's all gone to shit. It's horrible, it's unfair, it's nasty, there's suffering everywhere. Which, to be honest, from my perspective, we've always had that. Like it's been around the world, that suffering, that pain, that separation, it's just been hidden really, really well. And so we can feel like that's what it is. Or we can actually just trust in the fact that we get to be part of one of the greatest chapters of human civilization. We get to be part right now. You know, when you read a fairy tale, it's like, you know, fairy tales, they're full of enchanted things and they're not always nice, right? You've got the enchanted fairies, but you've got the dragons. You've got all these different characters and archetypes that play out, and they're all enchanted. There comes this point where there's this action, there's this tension that gives this momentum that's so exciting and exhilarating. It's the entire reason we read that book, right? Was for the peak, for that build up, for that moment. And that's something that I'm really feeling right now is we're being pulled in all these different ways. We're being stretched and twisted, and our perceptions are being challenged, and our belief systems are being cracked open. And a bit like, you know, when you say, you know, the shaman taking the medicine, you know, it's many journeys, you know, of that kind of journey. You know, I remember that experience of the moment that when that takes hold, it's like jumping off a cliff. You really are out of control. And I feel like the whole world's almost taken a cup of plant medicine now, you know, that the whole world is experiencing a level of entheogen within their system where they're cracking. And that's what's a little bit terrifying. You know, people that aren't ready for plant medicines, that haven't done the shamanic training, that haven't done the preparation for knowing how to hold yourself in that space, it can be really terrifying. And that's what I really see happening right now, you know, around the world, that there is something really beautiful in birthing.
I wanted to share this. Thank you for that, Mark. I wanted to share this story that really captured me the past few days. And if I may, it's a beautiful story to share, I think, with what we're talking about. And it's the photograph that was used is a picture of like what you have, the Northern Lights, but instead of different shimmering colors of green and purple and white, it's just a streak of white light in the sky that's reflecting in the ocean at night. So if you can imagine an image of the seashore at night with white streak lights like the Northern Lights just hitting it and reflecting on the water. That was, and a person walking by the shore. The proximity of death, the ultimate failure, seems to open us this way. In his novel, The Idiot, Fyodor Dostoevsky wrote a thinly veiled account of the time the Tsar Czar, played a terrible joke on Dostoevsky and his circle of revolutionary intellectual friends. The Tsar had them all arrested, and then one morning they were awakened at dawn and told they were to be executed. As Dostoevsky rode to the execution with his friends in an open wagon, a strange sensation began to overcome him. He felt a spacious, oceanic sense of time. He felt as if the limits of time had opened wide. In a few minutes, he would die. But he felt as if he had all the time in the world to do what he needed to do. What he needed to do, he now realized, was to say goodbye to his comrades for the final time. He did this in a full and leisurely way, the great love he bore for his companions welling up to the bursting point. And then he decided to spend his last moments on Earth looking around the world for the last time. As he did so, he found himself gazing at the thin burst of sunlight shone off the tin roof. Suddenly he knew for certain that this was what he would become. In a few minutes, he would die and he would become this blazing radiant light. This knowledge filled him with an ecstasy so intense, he thought that if it went on for even another minute, he wouldn't be able to bear it. It was then that the Tsar's captain told them it was all a joke. The Tsar had only wanted to frighten them. They wouldn't die after all. Dostoevsky was changed forever by this experience. It showed him what he really was. It took him to the core of his being, and he was a different man for the rest of his life. Alan Liu, this is real and you are completely unprepared. That's it. That's where it was from. It's amazing how for centuries and for hundreds of years, peoples of this earth use stories. It's oral transmission that is how the stories and the wisdom of the keepers are shared with the generations to come. The power of storytelling, the power of stories, seeing ourselves as the lead person in the story, just like in the movies. You know, it's just one of those things as well, or one of those stories that captures the freedom when we remember perhaps who we truly are while still living in the body.
Absolutely. You know, it makes me think, Lee. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say on that note, you know, the fifth step, which is all about how do we empower the theme of a wave spell, you know, is the white overtone mirror. How do we empower and take command and bring in that enchantment, that receptivity of the wizard into our everyday world is this white overtone mirror. And that white mirror is, you know, that eternal reflection, that constantly polishing your own mirror, cleaning out anything that's like, you know, it's like I always imagine like a pipeline, and that pipeline, you know, being clogged up over the years with storms that have gone through and washed in stuff, and it's kind of gotten stuck, you know, old emotion, old thought forms, old things. And then the mirror is like that process of really going through and going, oh, does this belong here? Maybe not. Maybe we let this go, and cleaning out that channel so that we can become, you know, that conduit for the enchantment, that light to flow through us, for our higher self, our real, like, you know, that makes me think of when you say, you know, those moments when we get an experience of who we really are. it's like, you know, to me, that's that process, right? That self-reflection that allows the enchantment of who we really are beyond just these flesh and bones. And that experience, that story of death that you were telling, you know, this believing that it's so close, like you're right there on the doorstep, cracking open and waking up and experiencing for a moment, you know, that is a powerful contemplation.
For what is death but another door into timelessness? Just entering another room, perhaps, like they say. Red galactic dragon.
That's it. That's where we are today. You know,
I harmonize in order to nurture, modeling being. I seal the input of birth with a galactic tone of integrity, guided by the power of life force.
and how does that sit with you? What do you feel when you drop into that one?
We were talking about the dragon some time ago too. And I think the medicine that this is giving me right now is that, you know, the dragon is also really powerful in creating and destructing. There could be like the healthy destruction, you know, so you can peel more layers, transform more parts of yourself, shed those things into the fire. And there's also moments when the fire is so strong and it just overcomes the dragon, you know, it burns you from inside. So I think the medicine, like I said, that I'm learning for today is how I can embody that fire without that fire engulfing me from the inside. You know, how I can integrate things I'm learning into my life, and how I can put them into action, how I can embody them, how I can embody these wisdom teachings further. And it's a continuous dance, you know. The mind has the ability to also give us the concept of, you know, these things that we're talking about. In the end, it's just all mind. They're spiritual concepts, cosmic concepts, universal concepts. But in the end, it is in embodying it and being the living example of what we are talking about, you know, all these things we are learning in the spiritual books, no matter what tradition you're following. In the end of the day, it's not about the going to church. It's about everything that we are learning already embodied in us, you know. It's serving us and stuff. And I guess it's just my contemplation for today, the galactic dragon, and how I can remember to nurture yourself too, because there's so many things that you know, feeling responsible for. I mean, in my experience, you know, that's how the past 14 days has been. My mom is now coming out of quarantine, and it's that feeling of me being the eldest. I feel that I just carry all the responsibilities on my shoulder, and doing everything that I can in the 3D realm to care for my mom, and having to face the idea of death, even though it's something that is going to happen to all of us. You know, when we're presented with something that is life-threatening, and you suddenly have to deal with that surge of fear. And for me, the dragon today, it's the reminder that I have to nurture myself. You know, I have to come back to self-care, and that, you know, my family's now has now finished their 14-day quarantine, and thankfully thankfully everybody got tested in the house and everybody is negative. And I feel now I can have that permission to lay down my, the dragon that's just, I'm on constant alert mode and anything that's going to happen. And I feel like today I have to just nurture myself. I have to just do some self-care, tune out, and remember to, fill my cup again.
Absolutely. Well, Lee, first of all, that's so good about your mama, and so much respect for that dragon energy you bring. That care, that love, that sense of balance, and I think even bringing in the contemplation around responsibility, right? Like, I think that's an important contemplation in our everyday lives. I know I've often felt that way, of feeling like I carry everything on my shoulders for the whole world, that I need to fix the world. I need to fix this COVID problem. I need to fix this, this or that or something. And it's like, and that's, for me, when we begin to talk about integrity, this is something that I think people often think of integrity as being some kind of moral concept, right? Like right and wrong, they're out of integrity because they're wrong. And I think that's a big mistake. And that's what leads us often to the shadow of integrity, which is judgment, right? The lower frequency, which is a survival mechanism. But if we really look at what does integrity mean, it's, for me personally, it's how do the parts fit together properly? What belongs where, right? And that's kind of that red dragon of responsibility and belonging, and and it's that thing of, first we have to bring integrity into our own lives. Like I need to take responsibility for me, right? And I've been feeling actually this kind of I don't know if you or the people out there, the term stoic. There's that idea of being a stoic, right? It's a fairly old school kind of attitude that was very much, it's kind of that stoic, almost like where that kind of toughen up son attitude kind of came from, of the old masculine. But I feel like there's an element of the stoics, that are just, there's this strength and there's this solidness that says, this is your responsibility, take care of it, right? No wishy-washy, oh, poor me. The Stoics are very strong and very direct and very, and I've been feeling this energy coming up in me of the Stoic, that calling to take responsibility for my well-being wherever I am, how I'm acting, how I'm engaging. Because we need to start taking in responsibility for how we are creating integrity with our environment, with each other, right? And, there's so many that will be very quick to jump on Instagram, Twitter, or somewhere, and, especially Twitter or Facebook, and just blast everyone with their opinions and their judgments of what they think is calling for integrity. But is out of integrity in the first place, because it's not their place necessarily. Some people it is. But for some people, a lot of people, it's not. They're kind of escaping the responsibility of taking, responsibility for their own lives, creating integrity in their own environments, and instead projecting out and putting that blame on the outside world, and for all seemingly good reasons. And that's something that, for those that are in America watching this live, and by the way, if you are watching this live, please do comment on the chat so we know that you're there. And if someone would like to win a free little mini reading, we would love to do that for you, but we'll need your birth date. So either join us here in the chat or on the live stream. But, it's lost where I was going with it. But, Lee, I'm really feeling, that's what I was going to say. Yesterday in America, they're still the day before, right? They're still in Monday. We're in Tuesday. We're time traveling across the zones, and this works because the sun is, in a sense, what is permeating and sending out these frequencies that we're working with. And so in America, it's the, because I always look at the resonant tone of every wave spell. To me, that's like a guiding force. How do I bring myself back into alignment with what we're working on during these 2 weeks? And the yellow resonant sun that America's in right now, was really speaking to me strongly about this, this feeling of, if you want to bring enchantment into your life, if you want to live a magical world, like if you want to have true romance in your everyday existence, where your life is a movie, is a film, you're no longer looking at movies, you're living a movie. If you want that experience, which is what I live for now, like that's it. That I'm here to be as deep in this human experience as I can. How sensitive, how open can I be? How much bandwidth can I have for emotion, for sensations, for experiences, for smells, and if we want that, the yellow resonant sun is saying, then you need to be sovereign. You need to recalibrate your sense of sovereignty. Who's in charge? Is it you, or is it someone outside of you? And the big mistake I think we make in this contemplation is we think, well, they are, because they're making the rules, they're regulating, they've got guns, they can do this, they can do that. So, okay, they can regulate outside external situations, but are you letting them regulate how you experience those situations? Because, as Mahatma Gandhi would say, it's like, and so many of the other great, movement makers and action takers that help change the world, no one can take freedom from here. That's where freedom truly lives. That's where sovereignty truly lives, is inside this. And I've begun to see that the more I took responsibility for that, the more I embraced my sovereignty while respecting the environment that I'm in and having to engage with that and bring integrity with how I bring my sovereign being to the table, my life has become more magical every single moment. I get to spend my time with people like you, Lee, that, like your music brings enchantment. That's what I love about musicians. And I love about the platform BitClout, where we're anchoring this, because it's all about art. It's all about music. It's all about creativity. Because I feel like your time is coming. Your time is now. That the musicians of the world, the bards, the storytellers, it's time for us to retell this story and open up the magic again. But for us to do that, we have to take that responsibility,
Beautiful. It's true. We are responsible for the world that we are creating. And how much of it are we taking responsibility of? How can we take responsibility to enchant an ideal world into being, And yeah, I've resonant sun. I love that. Independence. Where in our life do we feel we are independent? I mean, all these systems are created to help us, but through the years, we have become so dependent on all the systems to care for everything about us. I mean, there is such thing as, it's good if you have a really good healthcare system for the people. Everything that is for the people is, this is what the systems are supposed to be there for. At the same time, where do you find the balance when there is a system that cares for you, but enables you at the same time? When you just take advantage of what's being given to you, and instead of using that as like a sense of a relief for a few months maybe, but instead you're just going to continue to file for something that you can do something about it eventually and get out of that. Again, in the end, it's about balance, I think. We can be responsible for something, and at the same time, there is also a good reason why we need to rely on systems, because they work as a society, as a community, like as a culture or as a tribe. There has to be a bigger system that would hold the space for everyone, but everyone can still be sovereign within that frame. So yeah, it just reminds me of that, and how can we take responsibility of the things that we are creating in the world. Take responsibility of what we are integrating in our life.
Yeah.
It could be
I think it's a
something
really,
that we purchase. Could be, you know, are we taking responsibility of where we put our money, where we spend our money in these products, because these products help to fund, either more garbage in the world or fund green projects in the world. I mean, there's so many things that we can use our money, our attention, where, the kind of things or content that we share online, the kind of videos that we share with people in our social media. What are the messages that we are spreading? Because we are also amplifying a message, whether it's a negative one or a positive one. We are a part of that, as even if we're not aware of it. Especially in the social media world, it's so easy to click share. Oh, I like this article, but is this article adding to being giving more information to people, or is this article spreading more misinformation to people?
absolutely. Absolutely. You make me think of my time on Facebook. It feels like a distant memory now, Lee. Like I've been on Facebook maybe 4 months or something, 5 months. I don't know what it is now. And it makes me think of how many times people would share an article simply based on the heading. They didn't actually read the article, but they shared it because, often it would be, oh, someone else should read this because maybe it will help them see things like I see it. And they haven't even actually read the article and seen that the actual article says something different to the actual heading because it's clickbait, right? And you just watch this kind of thing where, like you're saying, we need to start taking responsibility for that. Like if you want to share something, make sure you know that what you're sharing is in integrity with your own feelings and what you want to share, right? And start really stepping up to that. As you were saying, I feel one of the most beautiful things about the time we're living in right now, and again, why I've gone all in on BitClout and why I'm doing so much to support this platform as we're preparing it. And for those that are hearing about BitClout for the first time, it's a decentralized platform that's really here to help support the creator economy, as well as to start freeing and liberating human expression in a way outside of control and centralized power. And it's not quite fully ready yet for mass adoption. We're getting close. So it's a bit like, if you do want to check it out, it's a bit like coming to a festival a week early. You're going to be hanging out with the vendors. You'll get to see the amazing musicians, and you'll be able to connect with really, special people. But don't expect it to be everything yet. You'll still need to be engaging yourself and putting some legs in. But the reason I'm going on about this, Lee, is because I feel like one of the most beautiful things that's happening in the world right now, with the deconstruction of our governments, of our economics, we're watching all these things start showing their true colors. We're really seeing the end of centralized power, right? Because as things grow, power begins to gather in centralized places. One person holds way too much power, rather than the collective. So these government mechanisms, which, as you so rightly pointed out, are there to provide a framework to support humans to help each other, as opposed to become on the teat of government, right? That wasn't the purpose of government. Government was meant to be minimal governance, just to facilitate the things that we couldn't work out as a collective. It wasn't meant to do everything. But as years went on, we became more and more reliant upon it. Technology came in, the Industrial Revolution, and all of a sudden, all this power started gathering in these government halls, and it started getting corrupted, and things started going a bit, and we felt powerless. As a people, I can speak for myself. I was kind of an anarchist at the heart, but I saw no hope. I saw no hope of change. I saw nothing. And then blockchain came along. And this is what a lot of people don't realize when they hear Bitcoin, Ethereum, these kinds of things. They think, oh, that's some techie thing, or that's some fad, or that's some money thing. It's not about the money. What it's about, this revolution that's happening, BitClout is a blockchain. All these other things are blockchains. They're decentralized ledgers, which means we've got a way of now tracking and keeping records and running systems in a way that no longer needs centralized power. It's decentralized power. We start seeing the power spread out. And when change, Bitcoin or Ethereum, they need consensus. They need all. They need all. Well, looks like my connection is dropping in and out. You hearing me okay, Lee?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you were dropping
So
in
they,
and out, but it's all
yeah.
good.
So in order for a blockchain to make a change, it needs community consensus of all the people that are running the systems that are keeping it going, all the people that are running this all over the world. There's a lot of them. They need to agree. Otherwise, the change won't happen. And so we're starting to see power getting decentralized, which means government's going to be decentralized. I've been working on a group Flux for many years of bringing this idea, but it was still very early, and it still is. But I think what we're seeing right now is there's like, you know, we talked about earlier that it's almost like the collective has had that plant medicine, the shamanic journey, and is a little bit psychedelic right now. Like everyone's losing their shit a little bit, right? And they're kind of having to experience things they've not experienced before. And I think the fear is coming from realizing that they are responsible for their own lives. And they always were the whole time, but they were giving their power away to the governments. And now that they can't do that anymore, we're going to have this adjustment phase. We're going to have this phase over the next months and years to come where we as a people are going to get used to needing to be responsible for doing the right thing in our lives. Like you say, Lee, those small things, you know, how you behave in your own household, how you set up your day, how you spend your money, what you invest in, who you spend your time with, what words you speak. Are they constructive or destructive, right? These are the things that are going to make the difference between how we thrive or survive over the years to come. And I personally believe that each and every one of you that pick up that baton of responsibility and take that on in your own world to stop trying to fix the outside world, but take care of that inner world, you know, do those things that seem small. Oh, who am I? They are showing scientifically now that when someone is fully present in the moment, in the now, feeling and expressing compassion, living through compassion, that they are emitting magnitudes more photons out of their heart center, right? Photons, light, real particles, real things are happening when we come from love and when we come from compassion. It's not a woo-woo concept anymore, right? It's like we're starting to see a scientific validation. And when you think of it through that lens, someone says, oh, poor me, I can't make a change. That's the victim who's only shooting out 1 or 2 photons. You know, it's a little bit, yeah. If you're only shining a tiny bit of light, then that's all that's going to go out there. Your actions won't have much impact. But when you start polishing your own mirror, when you stepping up to responsibility, and you start taking those actions, that action suddenly has thousands more photons booming out with it, spreading out into the world like a spotlight. You become a beacon for change in the world. You become a spotlight, a lighthouse that others begin to see and look towards for guidance, that begin to find their way through the stormy seas where they're lost and chaotic. They can find that anchor, you know, in you. And all it takes really is those very small steps, not the big ones. And I think they're sometimes the hardest ones to take. I speak from myself that took, you know, when we did, I think 3-4 weeks ago or something, we talked about cleaning the space, and maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. I've only just cleaned my desk today. Yesterday. I only just cleaned my office and put it in order after 2 or 3 weeks, because it was the hardest step for me, was to make that one about myself, you know, in my own responsibility.
Oh.
So Lee, I'm not sure, we haven't got anyone volunteering for the, got a few likes. I think we've got a few people watching around, but unless anyone's actually watching live and is keen to get the free mini reading, just chuck a comment in chat otherwise.
Right. I was thinking maybe, you know, there's none for today.
Yeah, I think
and we can take that opportunity to, since we're in the wizard wave spell, how about we close out with meditation and then going into song after?
Oh, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, so let's just Would you like to lead a meditation, Mark? Or would you like me to?
How are you feeling? Are you feeling in
I'm
the zone?
good
You got
either
something
way.
bubbling? If you're feeling it, lead, then I'd love you to lead it for sure.
All right.
Or if you'd like me to, I'm no, you go.
Yeah, let's just take that moment. We have a few more minutes together in this room. So I invite you to close your eyes. If you're listening, let's have an experience of the sense of timelessness together. As you're sitting down, if it's the end of the day for you, if you're lying down, just relaxing yourself and just allowing yourself to be completely weightless on your bed. As you're sitting down, feel your feet connected to Mother Earth. Our feet are also chakras. They also have chakras or energy centers. As we sit on our chairs, just allowing the groins to relax, allowing our hips to be relaxed, slightly tilted. So our lower back is also relaxed, a natural curve of the spine. As you inhale, you can gently roll your shoulders up. And as you exhale, you can feel your heart open. Just sensing where we are holding tension in our body. Start to become aware of the breath. This supreme intelligence moving through us. Breath of spirit. Spirare, which is the root word, means the one who animates. So as we take in this breath, become aware of this breath, we are becoming aware of that essence that animates us, that life, that gives us life. Start to allow the breath to move through the body, just filling all of our cells. Bring the breath all the way down to your belly, filling all of the chambers with life force, with this prana. As we exhale, just exhaling all of the tension out. Just imagine all of your stress from the entire week or your entire life gather up in like a ball. And as you're inhaling, you're gathering up all this ball of stress from your body. And as you exhale, you're just releasing this ball to the universe. You're releasing this breath to the earth. Becoming lighter and lighter with every exhalation. You can focus your inner gaze in the space in between your eyebrows, our third eye. And again, just observing the breath. It is now the full moon, wherever we are. And the full moon guides the tides of the earth, the water, and we are also water beings. 60 to 70% of who we are is made up of water, the water in our blood. So we start to tune into the moon, the energies of Grandmother Moon. And if we can start to see what areas of life is coming into fullness right now. See if you can think of something that you are grateful for, that have come into fullness, or that have come into the light, or that have been illumined by this light. Is there any situation right now that you're feeling, you're receiving a lot of illumination and awareness? Just connecting into our heart space and sensing the gratitude well up from within. Simple gratitude for this breath that is anchoring us in the now moment, the only moment that we have. Just feel this breath nurturing every single part of your body. Imagine a beautiful white light coming from the center of the universe. Imagine a light coming into this part of the galaxy. Imagine the spiral of galaxy, the Milky Way. And imagine this light coming into our solar system. Imagining this light traveling through the sun, powering up the sun, and imagining this light from the sun traveling to the earth. And even if it's nighttime where you are right now, the sun is still shining. Imagining this light hovering above the house that you're in, the building that you're in, the space that you're in. And this light is traveling all the way to the crown of your head. And as we inhale, imagining a beautiful column of light from the crown of our head to our third eye, to our throat, to our heart, to our belly, to the reproductive organs, to our roots, to our feet, into the earth, into the layers of the earth, through the stones, and through the core of the earth. Just feeling this oneness through the breath. And as we inhale, gathering the energy or the blessings from the earth, from the center of the earth, through the soles of our feet, all the way up, just resting in our heart for a moment. Giving thanks to this life. This energy is going up to our throat, to our third eye, to our crown, back into the sun, back into the Milky Way, and back into the center of this universe. And just feel ourselves connected to this luminous light. Let's place our palms together in front of our hearts. Bringing balance to the doing and the being, the masculine and the feminine energies in the body, the left and right brain hemisphere. And if you can gently bow your head in front of your heart. Bowing to the radiance of the heart that is available at all times. Bowing to the light that exists inside of us. Deep bow to this light that exists in everyone all around us. Deep bow to this light where we return to when we move on from this plane to the next. May all the souls transitioning from this world to the next find this light and assist them on the other side of the rainbow bridge. Radiating love 360 degrees and receiving love 360 degrees. Namaste. Blessings, everybody. Namaste.